Hey everyone, how are you? I am so excited to be here today. It's just this thing that took over and I said, you know what, I want to talk to everyone and connect with everyone. And it is also moon in Gemini, and that is my natal moon. So gab, 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 here we are chatting, talking, connecting. I want to see if anyone can see us and hop on now. So how have you been? It's been a while since I've done a live. How have you been? And as you know, my theme of this page is intuition, soul healing, hypnosis. And so how have you been managing your intuition during these days, during these times? Do you feel like you are connecting with your intuition more these days, now that spring has arrived? Do you feel that your intuition has gotten stronger due to the astrological shifts that we've been experiencing? So I was hoping somebody would answer, but I will keep going. And so, most of us know that intuition is knowing without knowing without knowing how we know. It is a gut feeling. It is sometimes literally your gut. It is a thought. It is a word. It's something that we feel or sense during a situation where we have to make a decision or when we meet someone or we are in a place. It is really our internal guidance system. And so I want to touch base with all of you to see how you're doing with your intuition. So many people write me and they're like, Vanessa, I don't trust my intuition. It told me when I walked into the room that that man was going to be my husband. And I'm like, well, was it your husband? I was like, do you know? You know, it was like, did you feel that it was going to be your husband? She's like, yes. And it turned out it wasn't. I'm like, well, what happened? Well, it turned out that this person felt a connection to that man in the room. But then it turned out to be somebody who was instrumental in perhaps reminding them about something or stepping them into more healing. But it wasn't a life partner. When we look closer at that situation, we realize that it wasn't the intuition or the internal guidance. It was, I would just want to make sure that everybody can see this now, that literally what it was that the person jumped to conclusions, walked in the room, felt the feeling, went, oh my God, that's my husband or that's my wife, however it may be. And so then they go around thinking that their intuition is wrong. Some people have said to me too that their intuition was wrong because they got a divorce. And it's like, well, you're the one who jumped to conclusions that this was going to be your husband or wife. Soul was guiding you to this person for lessons. And so as you see, there's a murky space there when it comes to our intuition. A lot of us, right, especially spiritual, romantic, creative folks, when we feel or sense something or get some sort of message, we jump to conclusions. We get really excited. We're like, oh my God, that's what the psychic told me about. That's what my cards told me about. And what happens is we start making decisions that we call intuition, but they're really, really not. So that's something that I wanted to talk about. A lot of people also say to me, well, how do you know the difference between fear and intuition? How do you know the difference between intuition and instinct? Do you know how to connect to your intuition consistently, accurately? Well, interestingly, so I was born into a family of intuitives. Everybody is intuitive. I would say, we're Catholic, we're spiritual, we're Latin American, from South America, Argentina. And I was blessed enough to be born into a family where spiritual, the dreams, topics of these sorts were not crazy, were not far off, yet we didn't talk about it a lot. It was something that we knew, that we respected, and yet at the same time, I didn't know that my grandmother was a medium. I didn't know that my grandfather had a guide. I didn't know my other grandfather was into hypnosis. Literally, almost everything that I do today, at some point in time, my ancestors were involved with, right? Blowing my mind, but it's within us. And for me, I didn't find out till I was 19 and then yet older. The hypnosis part I learned maybe a few years ago before my uncle passed away. And so intuition, for so many of us, when we're beginning to connect to our intuition and we're kids, our parents can say, shut up, it's not true, use your logical mind, it's not a real thing. Or like me, we believe it, or my family, but we don't talk about it a lot because there's a fear. There's fear that if we delve into this unknown, that we might get noticed by the other side, by the dark side, by evil energies, dark energies. And so sometimes people do believe but they're still trying to stay in the light of traditional Judeo-Christian religions, and so they don't delve into this ability. Now, if you notice, most prophets and most saints and most people who probably had some part to do in the sacred books, they all received messages from angels. They all received messages. And who's to say that only certain people are selected? Maybe more of us are receiving messages from angels and receiving information than we know. Hi, how are you? I haven't been on in a while, talking about intuition today. And so, let me see if I can start a watch party. Yay. Awesome. And so we're talking about intuition right now and talking about, well, what does it mean to you? A lot of people say to me, well, Vanessa, I know about my intuition. I know how to manage it. The truth is, though, when I read them or when I work with them, or even as I see their lives unfold, they don't really know how to use their intuition. They're aware of their intuition. They know about their intuition. But when the shit hits the fan, right, and things get tough, and things get really difficult, like a divorce situation or an illness, hey Sean, or an illness or something else is going on, they're like, well, I don't know if I want to believe it or not. And so for me, hey Sean, I see that you said hello. For me, it's always been really important to support people in understanding their intuitive abilities, because I feel that if you don't have that, it's going to be really hard to live a really fulfilling and aligned life. Now, what do I mean by that? It doesn't mean that everybody has to go around being a psychic. What I mean that we really need to be tapped into our intuition is that we need to know what we truly want. Our society, the way we're raised, our world. Hi, Barbara. Our society, our world, the way we're raised has us focusing on the outside world. Well, what does he want? What does she want? What does society need me to be or do so I can be accepted? What does my job want me to do? And so we become so outside focused that we forget to really ground and center and go within. And so we are raised this way, especially in the United States, maybe in other parts of the world, where we're very out focused, goal oriented, and it's a good thing, right? Because it helps us survive and thrive in the world. But what happens to that inner voice? So I work with tons and tons of men and women who say to me, oh my God, I woke up at 30 something or 40 and I realize I'm not living the life I truly wanted to live because I listened to what my mom wanted me to be, and I listened to what my brother or my husband or my wife needed from me. And that's why I say that we need to be able to tap into our intuition and really understand it, because if not, what happens, especially for empaths. Now with empaths, we are emotional intuitives. So what happens is we really pick up everybody else's energy around us. If your husband or wife or partner wants you to do something, you might think you want to do it, right? Because you're picking up their energy, and then realize a year later, 2 years, 5 years down the road, you're like, wow, I don't want to do this, you know? And so this is the type of thing that happens with, I'm just inviting a few people. And so here we are, just inviting some sorts of people here. And so what winds up happening is that we live a life that isn't ours. And that's why I say that intuition is so at the heart of who we truly are, because it's our internal guidance system. So if you think about this, we were born with this internal guidance system. Unfortunately, hey, John. And John was actually in my intuitive leverage program. So yay. My 8-week intuition boot camp. So we go through life pleasing people. And if we're empaths, we're picking up on their feelings. We're reading what they want. And because we're reading what they want from us, we start to fulfill other people around us. Our fathers, our sisters, our brothers, our boyfriends, our wives. And we're it's like a psychic sponge. What winds up happening is that we have the midlife crisis, or like the 30s or 40s or 50s, where we're like, wait a minute. I haven't been living my life. What's been going on is that I've been reading everybody else, and I have been basically just reflecting all of their desires, reflecting what they wanted. And so that is why, part of the reason why I say that intuition is the key. Because if we don't understand it, we will be living a life that we didn't want to live. That's number one. Number two, if you don't know your intuition, you won't be able to support yourselves through some of the most difficult times of your life. Now, just to share with all of you, I was about to get married about, 10 years ago or so, more. And I was so excited. I was lighting my candle. I was like, yes, I'm finally getting married and having kids. And something, my inner voice, my clairaudience said, Vanessa, you're not supposed to marry this person. You're supposed to cancel the wedding. And I was like, what? Why didn't you tell me earlier? What is this BS? And so, because I know my relationship with my guides and God and the universe and my own soul, I said, okay, I hear what you're saying. You've saved me so many times before. Let me see this in black and white. Well, a week later, I got an email in my inbox. My partner had just come home. He was sleeping. I opened it, and he had gone online on my laptop. Hey, Chris. He had gone online in my laptop, and what I saw was an email from the woman he cheated on me with. And that's why my inner voice told me to cancel the wedding. And so I asked for black and white, and I got the black and white information that I needed. And that's why I'm saying that when we're not connected to our intuition, when we don't have a relationship with our gut feeling, with our claircognizance, with our clairaudience, we're going to feel things and we're not going to follow through because we're going to be like, oh, but I don't want to disappoint. For example, talking about intuition saving our lives or helping us. Years ago, I was in a date. My intuition said, do not bring this man up into your apartment. I was in my 20s. I was still at the phase where I was trying to please people, right? Really please people in so many different ways. And so I totally, I didn't listen to my intuition. Even though my intuition was like, don't bring him upstairs, don't bring him upstairs, don't bring him upstairs. Well, I went on the date. I told him I didn't want to see him anymore, but he had left his jacket upstairs. He's like, let me come upstairs. My intuition was like, don't let him come upstairs. But I was like, oh my God, he's going to think I'm crazy if I say, don't come upstairs, I'll bring it down for you. He's going to think I'm mean. He's going to think I'm weird. Well, I went upstairs with him and the man attacked me. No lie, straight up truth, hand around the neck. I had to fight my way out of that one, okay? So your intuition isn't always going to say, hey, don't bring that man upstairs because he may attack you and hit you or try to, do something to you because he's mad you're breaking up with him. But your intuition is going to say something. And if you're not used to following it, if you're not used to listening to it, you may miss that. Another point about why intuition is so key to understand and really, really get really grounded and centered in how you relate and really making it your first go-to. Like for me, I don't call a best friend or tell my partner about something in my life. I ask my guides first. My guides are my first line of defense, of advice. It's not a coach. It's not anyone else. It's my guides. They don't let me wrong. They don't let me down. Now, something that happened, which was really crazy for me, was in 2012 in the Mayan calendar, right? That's December 21st, 2012. I was in a car. I had a bad feeling. My mom had a bad feeling. She's like, I have a bad feeling. She said, I will pray. I said, I will do Reiki on the car. Well, I'm half asleep. It's like 6:30 in the morning, and I hear, sit up straight so you don't break your back. Take the bracelet off your hand so you don't hurt yourself. Ask your parents if they have their seatbelts on. My mom did not, and she was in the front seat. And I did all the things that were required of me, and then I laid back like, let me sleep. Within minutes, the tire exploded. The car was about to careen into a truck. I woke up, put up my hand on the back of the seat, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And my guides were like, you are fine. You are fine. You're going to be okay. Nothing is going to happen to you. You're completely fine. Everything will be okay. For those of you joining, I'm talking about a car accident. And in that moment, my dad was able to to turn the wheel. We got off the path of destruction, of hitting and careening into the truck. We started rolling down. As we rolled down, I kept asking my spirit guides and God, hey, take me out of the body. Just let me go. Let me come back and help my family. They kept telling me, you are okay. Everything's fine. Once we landed, my parents were hanging from the roof of the car with their seatbelts on. I was sitting at the top of the roof, because I had no seatbelt, thinking, was I dead? Was I alive? Now, as I crawled out of the car after I helped them get out, I heard, never go back to corporate, do what you need to do, really fulfill your soul purpose. In 2013, I built my business online. Now, I share this because if I didn't have that awareness with my intuition and they were like, sit up straight so you don't break your back, I would have been like, screw you, I'm sleeping, right? These are the type of things, had I not checked if they had their seatbelts, why would I check with my parents if they have their seatbelts? They put on their seatbelts every day. My mom did not have it on. If the car had turned around with my mom in the front seat without the seatbelt, my mom would not be here today. Okay? Had I not sat up straight, because I had my feet in the front, right? So I was laid down. If they started to roll while I was that way, I may not be here either. And so intuition has saved my life. Intuition has brought me into my career. Intuition has helped me pick the right doctor. I had a fibroid surgery, and all the doctors told me to get a hysterectomy. All of them. like all of them. And I held on. My intuition's like, not the right doctor, not the right doctor. Boom, the 11th doctor. How many folks do you know who go see 11 doctors before they have a surgery? Not many. I did because I listened to my intuition. And so these are many different things, examples of when we listen to our intuition. Now, I've been working with my intuition since I'm a little girl. I started reading adults when I was 16. Professionally, I started getting paid $100 an hour back in the day, over 2 decades ago, to read people at parties and events when I was 22. And so what I did is I just started to create a program 5 years ago that I felt could really support folks, could support, hi Nurka, that I could support folks in really getting to know their intuition. And that is called intuitive leverage. And so that is starting next week. Now we're going to cover your intuitive style. We're going to cover clairaudience, clairvoyance, mediumship, spirit guides, past lives that may be blocking your intuitive ability right now and maybe blocking you maybe in your soul purpose or in your sacred work. We will be in a Facebook group, so if you have any questions, I will pop on and answer. And I will also, you'll have 8 modules delivered every week. And then every 2 weeks, we're going to have a live call that's an hour and a half. And that live call I will be on personally. I will guide you through many things. And what a lot of people say is that this was a total life changer because they could get on from anywhere. I have people from Australia, the UK, I think Amsterdam, California, Canada, Hawaii. And we bond with like-minded, kind-hearted folks. We develop our intuition. We get to understand how it really functions for us. And my goal and the space that I hold for you is that when you leave this course, you really, really feel confident. You feel connected. You feel like I am so centered in my intuition, I can do anything. Now, for those of you who are still on, do any of you work with your intuition daily or even weekly? Do any of you trust your intuition? Let me start with that one. Do any of you trust your intuition? So I'm waiting to see if anybody writes. Does anybody trust their intuition who's on right now? And if you do trust your intuition, how many of you use it for the really big decisions in your life? Yay, Sean, thank you for answering. Awesome. I love that you trust your intuition. Go, Sean. Do any of you work with your intuition weekly, daily? Thank you so much, Chow. Do any of you work with your intuition daily or weekly? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It happened to me. It happens to me. I mean, not now, because now it's been, decades. But even I remember 10 years ago, I'd already been reading people, a long time. And I was in a car and I didn't drive. And the guy that was driving was going away and I heard, no, he's going wrong. He needs to go left. And I'm like, but I don't even drive. And I'm in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I don't even know Michigan. But it was right. My intuition was totally right. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else use their intuition who wants to share? Yay, when I allow it, I do. Carolyn, so good. Thank you, Carolyn, for sending a message. Awesome, awesome. And Carolyn, what are some things that keep you from doing that? What are some things that keep you from that? Is it fear? Is it that there'll be too much going on? Like, what is it that keeps you from using your intuition more fully? I'm trying to see messages here. Ooh, let me see the chat. Okay. Hey, Seth. We're talking about intuition. Hey, William. Hey, Will. Talking about intuition today. Right, absolutely. A lot of us are afraid of what we're going to hear. A lot of us don't want to deal with the truth. A lot of us are afraid to be wrong. Some of us are afraid that the universe or God will ask too much of us. My experience is when, once you're incarnated on the planet, the universe and God's going to call on your butt. It's going to call you into action. And so we can't hide from it. Some people are afraid that they're going to be wrong with their intuition. Awesome. Anyone else use their intuition? And what particular thing do you get? Do you hear something? Do you feel it? Or is it something like a gut feeling? Because honestly, I've been doing intuitive work now, I don't even know, 25 years or something like that. I do not get a feeling in my gut at all. I hear everything, I know, and I see, which is clairaudience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance. So I don't get that gut feeling, that gutty thing that people get. Awesome. Well, I know that some of you are at work. And I'm just wanted to thank you for being on here. And to remind you, of course, that my Week Intuition Bootcamp starts next week. Ooh, I also have a strong analytical mind, so I second guess. Absolutely, Carolyn. So do I. I was a debater in college, like nationally ranked. Carolyn, I was a nationally ranked debater. And in my second year, I was scouted for law school, which doesn't happen often. But when you're in the debate circuit and lawyers are your judges, sometimes they try to bring you into the schools. And so I was always fighting with my analytical mind. I can suggest to you something that I do in my course, which is I always ask people to have an intuition journal. Because if you're intelligent and have an analytical mind, or just question everything in the world, which we should, we absolutely need to be able to track it. So one of the suggestions that I have for anybody who's watching is getting an intuition book or something that you use, and every day just checking in and saying, well, what do I need to know right now? What do I need to know right now? Well, why do I say the word now, right? And not, well, what do I need to know about this meeting, or what do I need to know about this date? The word now brings you into the present moment. That's where all intuition exists. The past is the past. The future we can attach meaning to. We can invest our energy or our expectation. When we're in present moment is when we're most open. Like, I love reading people that I don't know because I don't know them. So there's no attachment. There's no investment. Of course, I want to do a great reading and support the person, but I don't have anything personally invested. So if you start a little notebook and you ask yourself every day, what do I need to know? And then pay attention. I mean, obviously be grounded, be cleared, be present, and ask yourself, what do I need to know? And write down whatever comes up. You could also use a card deck, because what happens when you do that, you start to set a foundation. And this is your point, your ground zero point. This is your point where you know who you are, how you function, how you receive intuition. And then the clearer you get, when you're going through something really difficult, like a car accident like I did, or, breaking up, hey Noel, hey Sue and Anion, breaking up with someone who just cheated right before your wedding, these are extreme cases. And most people that I know, right, exactly, absolutely, because we're invested, we're totally invested. And so for those of you who are coming on board now, how are you? I've been talking about intuition and sharing a little bit about when I didn't listen to my intuition, the stuff that happened to me, and then sharing about what did happen and saving my life and changing the course of my life and creating a business online and choosing the right doctor for my surgery, all based on my intuition. So I wanted to share all that if you're coming in, to just kind of bring you up to speed. And I wanted to say too that my 8-week intuition bootcamp is starting next week. If you want to check it out, you will find it connected to my main page. It's better if I don't say a website on a video, because then they limit the people who can see you, and it's so sad because I have over 2,000 actual followers on my personal page, 5,000 friends, and 3,000 people on this page, but a lot of them don't get to see it. So if you're interested, just PM me, and PM me if you're looking for an intuitive reading, or if you have any questions about intuition, because this is, like I said, my mission in life is really to support you to unblock, to be unstuck, to be able to share your soul gifts with the world, as well as support you in connecting to the incredible power of your intuition. So sending you all so much love. Thank you for being on. It was so good to talk to folks that were on and sharing. Sending you so much love. Thank you. And again, if you're interested, just PM me and I would love to connect with you. Bye, loves.